Yo, what it is, what it is. Welcome to the best podcast in Long Beach, California. Before we get started with today's show, do me a huge favor. Subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, give us a like. We have an interesting topic, and let's get to it. What it is. Podcast. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me once again. Like I said, we have an interesting topic, and just a reminder: your participation is, always appreciated. We work hard to put these shows up for you guys to keep you guys entertained. And it's the programming is free. All we ask is for you to like and subscribe, which is not hard. And we have a very good topic today. I've been trying so hard for a couple of months to try to get an interesting guest, and we finally have one. Let me bring him on. He's backstage. And here he is.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi. My name is Hezokuai. I got a YouTube channel over there where I pretty much make fun of sovereign citizens and First Amendment auditors and all of that good stuff. And that's pretty much where I'm at.
And when you say sovereign citizens, what does that mean?
Okay, so sovereign citizens are they're actually, the FBI has classified them as a domestic terrorist organization, so they hate being called sovereign citizens now because they're like, oh, I'm not a terrorist, right? But basically, a sovereign citizen is someone who firmly believes that, and there are different categories of them. First Amendment auditors are a category of sovereign citizens, Moors. All these people, they believe that the Constitution of the United States, if you read it the way they read it, it actually says that we're not subject to any laws by any government and could do whatever we want, whenever we want, pretty much, period. That's the simplest form of explaining what they believe. But back, I think it was in the late 70s, early 80s, some guy came up with this philosophy and wrote a script. And there are videos online where you see some of these people getting pulled over and they literally will pull out a piece of paper with the script printed out on it from the internet. And they don't even know what it means. They just start reading from it. And their big thing they like to say when they get pulled over is, well, I don't need a driver's license because I'm not driving. Driving is only something you do if you're getting paid to drive, like an Uber driver or a cab driver or a bus driver. So if you're just driving your car, you're not driving, so you don't need a driver's license, which of course is absolutely untrue. But these people believe it because of a legal dictionary that was written 100 years ago. And even that doesn't say that, but they will argue till their death that it does. And they're full of it.
Yeah. You know what? I'm glad that you went ahead and kind of like explain what it was, because I kind of put a couple of videos together and watched them a little bit, and it kind of like it shows a different viewpoint to kind of like how it could be interpreted. So it kind of goes in line to what you just said. So I'm like, oh, okay, so I was right in putting something together. I got kind of involved or fell into doing this topic, not because I went out looking for it. It just kind of like fell onto like my doorstep, and I was like, oh, okay. So kind of like for anybody who's visiting from your channel, my name is Tacos and Workouts, and that's exactly what I did. I started my YouTube channel eating tacos and working out, and what ended up happening was Silenceboy. He got arrested because I think he went to food vendor, and he messed with her, and then he got her arrested, and that's kind of how I found out about him. And since taco related subjects, that's under my jurisdiction, I said, I'm going to cover this because it's taco related, right? So then I found out the world of the frauditors, right? And then I was like, okay, so it's just opened a big, huge box. And then I found out about Casey, and I found out about Furry. So that's kind of how I kind of came into play with this. And I was like, man, I know what auditing videos are. I've seen a couple of auditing videos, and I'll be honest with you, some of those are interesting to look at. Like I'll see this guy that got pulled over, and then the guy has a dash cam, and he tells the cop, "Why'd you pull me over?" And then the cop says, "Oh, you were speeding." And then he goes, "Look, according to this dash cam, it shows that I was not speeding." And then he goes and he debates with them, and then it turns out that the guy is right. And then they go and they say, "Okay, violation of the law, blah blah blah." But more often than not, those videos are 100% solid. Like, it shows that some law, not all, but some law enforcement officers do like to kind of like step the bound with their power and authority and stuff like that. So those videos are definitely interesting to watch. But what we're seeing now, what I see these individuals do, that's not it. It's
Right.
like they go to like businesses and sometimes even like churches and stuff like that, and it looks like they're looking to intentionally mess with people. That's kind of like what they're doing.
That's exactly what they're doing. And this is why, because one of the things that I get a lot of trolls and people who don't understand what we're doing, on my end and our whole anti-frauditor group or whatever, that's the whole reason why we use the word frauditor, right? Because if you're an auditor, I have no problem with that. You want to go out and you see something or you have an interaction with the cops and you film it, great, please do, right? But when you're going out of your way to instigate a negative reaction intentionally for clicks and views on your YouTube channel, that's something completely different, and that's what I'm against. If a cop's doing something wrong, by all means, call them out on it. But if you're doing something wrong just so that you'll get the attention of the cops, that's completely different.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That's kind of like, I kind of been like looking at some of these videos to kind of like figure out what's going on, and I kind of came up with my own conclusions. And I think a lot of the people that see your channel, kind of we're on the same consensus as to why they're doing it. But it's like they're like, we're not doing anything wrong. And they play
Right.
this whole thing, and I'm like, I'm not doing it for views. I'm not doing it to get money off of YouTube. And it's like, why would you be doing it then? It's like, it makes no sense. And it's very, transparent to what they're doing.
Yeah, and one of the things that I learned too, actually, from there's a guy um, called, okay, so there's an auditor called Long Island Audit, but there's another guy called Long Island Fraudit, and his whole channel is dedicated to going against Long Island Audit's channel. But he actually started out as an auditor himself, and he was doing it. And when he finally saw what all the auditors were doing, he realized that what they were doing was wrong, and he completely turned around. And he was talking about how, yeah, getting that YouTube money is a big part of it, but also the adrenaline rush. They get addicted to that rush of getting in an argument with the cops. Like and they love that. And that's another reason why these guys do it, you know? But and then again, when you talk about people like Silenceboy, KC Camera Boy, these guys who go after civilians, part of their whole thing is, okay, I've been all right. See, now this goes back because this has been going on for a while now, and it's this big complicated thing. And essentially, once it started getting more and more popular to the point where it's kind of global now. There are auditors in New Zealand, they're in Europe, they're all over the place. It's horrible. Canada. But the cops in the United States are being trained to ignore them. Just ignore them. Don't say a word. So what ends up happening is it's harder for them now to get a reaction from the cops. So what's the next step? Now they mess with innocent civilians so that those guys will call the cops and force the cops to have an interaction with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's totally it. And we have a couple of videos that show that a little bit later. But are you aware of what's been happening recently with law enforcement and what that they've been playing Disney music or pop music?
Oh,
yeah. Have you heard about that?
yeah. So the idea is for the ones that are doing it for the money, right? You play copywritten music while they're auditing you, and then they can't get their video monetized. But that's kind of backfired on the cops because there have been some situations where other people would hear the cop blasting this music and then call in noise complaints on the cops. And so now the police departments are being told to keep it down, which now what are we going to do? And the worst thing about this whole situation, as far as that aspect of it goes specifically, is that now there are some places that are starting to try and pass laws to limit your ability to film the police. And that's a big problem because obviously, we know that frauditors aren't legitimately doing it for this reason, but their excuse is, well, we're just doing it to try and get, because it's our right to film the cops. And we want to fight for the First Amendment. But what's ending up actually happening is the exact opposite. Our rights by these new laws to try and stop them are starting to limit our ability to film the cops. And I don't like that idea at all. So it's like, not only are these idiots out there doing this, but while they're doing it to quote unquote fight for our First Amendment, they're actually helping to chip away at it. And it's their fault that it's getting less.
Yeah, it's and I had a couple of topics with other people, and I told them this is what I see happening. I see that because of their actions, some laws are gonna try to be changed, to kind of limit these few people that are doing this. Now we're all gonna go down for it. We're all gonna pay because of these few individuals, excuse me, that are doing this. And I was like, you see, something needs to happen, man. And I'm thinking, how do we do that? How do we get that from happening? But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let me show you that video that I was talking about.
Yeah,
it's man, right over here, man. And this is what goes into the situation of what's going on with the cops.
So it appears that in an order for law enforcement to prevent the frauditors from harassing them and not recording their videos, they decided to start playing Disney music loudly on their speakers. And they do this on purpose so the auditors will not be monetized or get their videos removed. And people are complaining that the cops are doing these tactics. So law enforcement has lost all their ideas. So what are they to do? They're being told they cannot play music, that is not right for them to do. So I say this: why doesn't law enforcement just sue the frauditors? That's right, sue the frauditors for using their likeness without their permission. Maybe with that help? I don't know. Is it legal? I don't know. We just know that the law enforcement is running out of options, but these frauditors are harassing civilians, and that's a big major problem.
Yeah, so there we go. That's kind of what's going on there. Now, I think it's like a back and forth, right? There's like auditors, frauditors, and then there are the cops, right? So it's like three groups of people, right? Obviously, the cops don't want to be filmed, right? If it's an audit, then it's kind of like part of the job, right? But they're tired of it. So what they said, how do we stop this, right? So that they're doing what you said, blaring that music. Now that's happening in the video that I showed you there. I couldn't show you what was said on that video. I needed to, because there was music on it, and it was like not you couldn't hear the audio good. But the guy that was talking to the cop goes, "Why are you doing this? We're asleep, and you're playing this loud music at 2 a.m. Why are you doing this?" And then the frauditors is like, "Oh, he's doing it because he doesn't want me."
Yep.
So now the cops are trying to think of a way to like stop this, but it's like, what's the solution to the problem? It's like, what do they do?
Well, I was thinking, I mean, as far as law enforcement goes, it is difficult without the laws being changed. And like I said, I have a problem with that.
So do I.
Yeah. The one thing that we've been trying to push for in the anti-frauditing community is this idea of, if you could because the police can't sue them for using their image, because that's part of being a cop. There's laws and rules about filming the police. They can ask you to stand back a reasonable distance, which of course these guys never do. They always go out of their way to get as close as possible. But other than that, it's even some of the laws they're passing are just saying that they need to be further back, But what can be done if these people who are on these YouTube videos, if we could find them and get a bunch of them together to do a class action against these guys for making money off of their images without their permission, then we'd get somewhere. But I mean, finding random people on the street, who they are, where they live, to get in touch with them and it's not that easy.
No, it's not that easy because like I've seen a lot of videos where people will walk up to like Silenceboy or Casey or Potato and tell them, hey, who are you? They never give their name.
Nope.
And so it's like somebody just records you. Sometimes they even use pepper spray on you, and then they take off. So it's like, and then by the time the cops get there, it's like, well, I don't know who he was. He didn't say who it was. They have your image. They did something to it. And the only reason you're going to find out is if it goes viral. Or if somebody tells you, hey, guess what? I saw you on the internet on JR's channel or David's channel or something, and then they could gain, some information that way. So,
yeah. And again, that would be at this point, the only real tool I could see for fighting against them, on a larger scale. Individually, we always try to encourage people, if you ever run into one of these guys on the street, my recommendation, and again, this is the general recommendation, is the copywritten music thing, right? Because if you're just a regular person and you're doing that, it's completely different than if a cop's doing it. But like, if you're willing to take that risk, because these guys generally don't get violent pepper sprays as far as they'll go, would be to get close to them, close enough to where they tell you to back off. And then when they do, that's when you flip it on them. And you have to be familiar with their script for this to work. But that's when you flip it on them and say, this is a public place. I could stand wherever I want. What are you, a tyrant telling me that I have to back up? Who are you? You're violating my First Amendment right to be in public. Flip their script on them, and just sort of the idea ultimately being to prevent their audit, right? You're basically auditing them, turning it on to them. Instead of them going to the cop and making all these arguments, you make all the same arguments to them, And I don't know how that would work. Nobody's doing it yet, but that's what we try to encourage, to a certain extent.
Yeah, man. You know what? And they don't like it when you frauditors don't like it when you get in their space, right?
Yep.
They don't like it when you mess with their cameras.
Yep.
And some of them even had people go to their I don't know, they found out where they were at and they went seeking for them. And I tell people, you know what? Don't go looking for them. It's like, stay away from them as much as possible. Don't get yourself in a situation. It's not worth it, because it's like, I take that approach. It's like, it's like, tell people, you leave me be, I'll let you be, and let's just whatever, right? That's kind of my approach. But, and these frauditors, man, I think out of most of the videos I've seen, I only seen one person that is quick to attack civilians using pepper spray, stun guns, or whatever means possible, and that's Furry Potato.
Yeah.
Furry Potato is quick to do that.
Very. And I did a video on my channel just a few weeks ago where it was just a bunch of examples of frauditors pepper spraying random people, and Furry was on there twice. It was real easy to find videos of Furry, pepper spraying people.
Furry takes it as like a badge of honor. Furry loves it. I mean, it's like it seems as Furry just loves it. And for all of you who don't know who Furry is, this is who Furry is. That's Furry Potato, and that's why I tell you, leave these people alone, because they carry stun guns. They look. Does that look like somebody like an average civilian? They have tactical gear on, and they're uploaded with a whole bunch of cameras. These people are, and that's Furry's stun gun, and that's quite an expensive stun gun. That's like a $400 stun gun. That's like a police grade. So you're telling me you have a person wearing tactical gear, bulletproof vest, it has probably the same equipment as a cop does, other than a gun, right? And then people are like, well, why do people feel threatened? It's like, if somebody walks up to you that looks like they're about to go to war, and it's filming outside, that's not intimidating. That's not like terrorism. That's not like I'm gonna feel threatened. You know, it's like you're at the grocery store. Someone's standing behind you, standing a little too close. There's a space violation. It's not just something within nature that doesn't make you feel well. So it's like they play this game that, oh, we're not doing anything, but they know exactly what they're doing.
Oh, absolutely. And it's all about instigation, right? And one of the things that I always say on my channel is the narrative never matches the content. Because when you watch their videos on their channel, and especially looking at the comments section and stuff, their audience always goes by what they say during the video. So it has nothing to do with what happens, right? And their story is always basically the same. Now, if you imagine in your head, like, say you're walking down the street tomorrow, you're just walking down the street and you see something cool and you're like, oh, I got my phone on me. I'm going to record this because it's cool looking, right? I got a YouTube channel. Maybe I'll post a video of it. That's how they sell it. Like, they're just, sitting there filming. But again, you're not going to be in tactical gear with your taser and your pepper spray and your bulletproof vest and your black hat and your black man. And it's like, how are we supposed to believe that you're just randomly walking down the street and pull out your camera and then all of a sudden these people are bothering you and you can't figure out why? When you look like that, of course people are going to be like, what the heck is this person doing? What's going on?
And the kicker is this, that once they finally get a hold of the wrong person and the person starts to defend themselves, who do they call? They call the cops. Hey, cops, come here. These people are attacking me. Like, wait a minute. Well, didn't you just pepper spray this guy or threaten to pepper spray him? So everybody in the company kind of like jumped you. And that's kind of what's happened. For all of you who do not know who these people are, I have a quick little 1-minute video that I'm going to show you just to remind people of what we're talking about, and it'll give people to catch up for anybody who showed up a little bit late.
To see what I get into it.
Quítale que eres contra perra.
Alright.
Touch me, fool, and I'm a pepper spray. Just touch me a little bit. Just touch me a little bit, and I'm a pepper spray, fool.
Okay, yeah.
Touch me a little bit. Touch me a little bit.
I didn't touch
Get close to
Stop, dude. Turn the fucking cameras off now.
Stop, dude.
Turn it fucking off.
Here's the definition of terrorism: the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. I just got a phone call real quick. I don't have to drop out, but I need a couple minutes because it's my son. Do you want to just take over for a second and not necessarily drop me, but just
no problem.
Thanks.
So that's kind of what I'm talking about, guys. It's Hezokuai said that they're sovereign citizens, right? And that kind of falls in the lines of terrorism, right? And what is that definition? When I first made that video, and thank you to everybody who I got those clips from. I also credited them. Hezokuai is one of them. Dr. David is one of them, and I think Mi Familia is one of them. These are people that are day in and day out calling out the frauditors and making great content, and they have so much information. That's what they do. They cover the frauditors, right? And that's where I got it from. But when I first made that video and I put it together, that definition, it kind of it resonated with me. I'm like, hey, this kind of falls in line to terrorism, kind of like it could be interpreted that way, right? And some people that believe in their First Amendment, and people really love their First Amendment, and you know what, I get it, right? But it's like, I think some people kind of use it to it's like everything's First Amendment and everything's a go, right? But with that being said, they said, no, it doesn't fall in the line of terrorism, right? But then I start to think to what they're doing, right? They're doing it for their First Amendment speech. First Amendment falls in the political realm, right? So if you're doing these kind of tactics to civilians, which they are to civilians for political reasons, which is your First Amendment, then that kind of does fall into the line of terrorism. Now, this is This is not. I'm not calling them terrorists. I'm saying that they could be. You know what? And even if I were to say that, that's my opinion. Okay, so it could be viewed that way, that that's what they're doing. And you know what, it's crazy out there. But we showed you Casey, we showed you Silent Boy. Who we haven't showed you is a frauditor who's actually how do I say this, more knows more of what they're doing and how to do it. And it's this individual right here. Pay attention to what's going on.
So if you guys want to read the actual article, go to womenarehuman.com and you can read it for yourself. It just goes on saying that Furry Potato's a terrorist. These are their words, not mine. Saying that Furry likes to harass people and dox people. And Furry pled to a lesser charge, but Furry does it for, according to Furry, free speech.
And there you go. That's an actual article from a website. That's that they did on Furry Potato. I kind of found out about Furry Potato again watching these audit videos, fraudit videos, and Furry actually got shot in one of the videos, and I'm not sure if that's how Furry got kind of like more popular to what this is. I wouldn't mind having Silenceboy, Casey, or Furry like on the program here, and kind of explaining as to why they're doing this. I mean, we all have an idea of why they're doing it, but I wouldn't mind actually having them on the program and explaining why they're doing it. So just to catch up a little bit, I showed a quick video on Furry Potato. I'm not sure if you know, but there was an article that was written under Women Are Human, and they kind of called out Furry, and they called him a terrorist. I don't know if you ever had a chance to look at that article.
Yeah, I've read that. There's a lot of things with Furry. First of all, I was very surprised that Furry's still doing it, because she got shot at one point auditing a synagogue, and also there was this one situation where Furry was outside of a marijuana dispensary, and the guys poured water out, trying to get rid of the idiot with the camera. And Furry, well, you showed how, and dressed with all the black and the hat and the mask and everything. So you couldn't tell at all if it was a man or a woman or what. But as soon as they dumped the water, because they wanted him to stop filming, they're doing this because I'm transgender. It's a hate crime, and trying to play it off like it's something else. If you actually got to interview any of them, I guarantee you they would say like, oh, well, we're just doing it to protect the First Amendment and to help you keep your rights. But if they saw you on the street, you'd be one of the victims. Anyone that they see is a victim. What they do is I call it fishing or baiting, right? What they do is they take their camera and they start, when you could especially see in Silenceboy's new videos, like it's super transparent that this is what he's doing, but their style is always the same. You walk up to someone and start filming them, and if they're just sitting there, then you just move on to the next person and move until you find someone who doesn't like being filmed, and then you purposely focus on that person, because now, here's someone who might instigate a negative reaction. But they'll never tell you that. And
I'm going to ask you a question. You don't have to tell me. Are you in California, or are you in a different state?
No, I'm in Florida, actually.
In Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you said 6, I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, that's 9. It's 9:30 right now.
For some reason, I thought you were up in Northern California.
No, man. Originally, I was in Chicago, is where I'm from, and then Wisconsin, and now Florida. So.
Okay, so when this whole Silenceboy thing started to be covered, there were other podcasters that were that doxed them. They said, "Oh, his name is this," and "Oh, he lives in this address," and started doing all these things, right? And I was like, "Hey, you can't be doing that. You can't be naming this guy's name. You know,
Right.
it's like regardless of what, and then they're like, yeah, and it goes, oh yeah, go flood his channel, go do this, go, and I'm like, you can't be doing that, man. It's like, you know, what if somebody goes and does something bad to this guy?
Yeah.
That's on you. It's
Yeah.
like those are your actions. So it's like for me, I just tell everybody like leave them alone. And here, like where I live in Long Beach, California, and Los Angeles, people were reaching out to me and they're like, oh yeah, you know, this is what we're gonna do when we find them.
Yeah.
And I was telling people, don't tell me any of that. I don't. That's not what I'm about. It's like, no, you're not gonna do that. Leave them alone. People on my comments, people on my channel, they were going that route, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna put a stop to this. It's like no one's gonna get hurt on my watch, because I just, like I said, just because they do something stupid doesn't give us the right to do something stupid as well, you know.
Right.
And that's I put a stop to it. But that's why I asked. I'm like, are you from California? Because it's here, and a lot of people really dislike Silenceboy, but they're not too familiar with KC or with Furry Potato.
Oh yeah, well, there's a lot of them. Silenceboy just became well known because of what happened with the fruit vendor and the coverage on Telemundo and all of that in the news story. Also, the fact, like, and you could see it, like what you're saying, he knows, because when you watch the video he made right after this all went down, he's making the video and he's holding, and he's like looking over his shoulder to make sure nobody's coming after him. Like he knows what's up. And if you look at his new videos, he's only auditing rich white neighborhoods.
Okay.
Because he knows that the Latino community isn't happy with him right now. But I think also part of that goes back to the whole idea that, like with the doxing thing, I do not like that at all either. You know, I don't think that doxing is ever appropriate. But he kind of doxed himself, because he had a video that he posted on his channel where he walks up to these cops who know him, and the cops thought if they said this, he wouldn't post it. So they're talking to him as his real name, and they're saying his name and his address, hoping that he won't post the video, and he posted it anyway. So the guy doxed himself, you know. But that still doesn't make it right for everyone else to jump on the bandwagon and do it, you know.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it. I saw that. It was like kind of like, what was it?
With the horses?
A horse, yeah, a horse. They were getting ready to do something, and so the cops know exactly who they are, and it all goes again from the very beginning, that the cops kind of like, you could tell that the cops don't want to pay attention to them and leave them alone. So it's like, I'm thinking that now that this has been brought to light, right? There's a number of ways that you could kind of deal with it, right? The first thing would be just to ignore them and get away from them as far as possible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be number one, right? The second option you could do is blur some music, and you know their videos obsolete, right? Because I mean, if you happen to be, I don't know, you know, blurring some music or walking with the boombox, maybe that will deter it, you know. But I think that this kind of programming, it's not healthy for anybody. It's not helping anybody or protecting our free speech or anything like that. If anything, I think it's doing the opposite. It's going to create laws for us not to be able to record law enforcement at all, because because law enforcement say, well, when you record, this is a possibility. I don't know if it would happen or not. Law enforcement could say, well, when people record law enforcement officers, it poses them as a threat, and people might find out where they live. Because Furry actually went to a cop's house. I don't know if you saw that video, and the cop flashed the badge, and the cop was like trying to intimidate him, trying to do something, and Furry's like, F you, and flipped him off and said, like, what are you gonna do? And that video went on for 15 minutes of Furry just kind of going at him hard and laughing at the cop, and the cop's just sitting on his porch, not being able to do anything. Yeah. And it's like it's like it with these few individuals just holding their cameras, and by you, they're armed, they have weapons, and it's like, how's that fair for you to totally do that to somebody, and you have weapons and you're untouchable? No one could do anything to you, because the moment that anyone does anything to you, what are you gonna do? You're gonna press charges and you're gonna sue. and they're like, oh, we're suing. Oh, and that's the number thing. Oh, I'm gonna sue you guys. I'm gonna own you guys.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, so and then some of them, like Silent Boys, shows all his jewelry.
And he flashes his money too. He has these big wads of cash. Look at all the money I'm making. Oh, wait a minute. We're supposed to believe you're not doing it for the money, but you're going to purposely go out of your round to flash all the money you're making by doing it. Like that's why it blows my mind so much that so many of their supporters and fans fall for what they're saying. When to me and my whole group, really, like all the anti-frauditing channels, that's one of the reasons why we do what we do, because when we look at their videos, we see what's happening, and we don't go by what they're selling. We go by what's actually happening in the video. Their fans just go by what they're selling.
Have they tried to go after you yet? Like to like get your videos or your coverage taken down for whatever?
Man, Casey threatened to dox me. He didn't do nothing. He's a punk, and my comment section is full of trolls. It's insane. But what I do is because at first I kind of just ignored them, But a lot of them will come in there and talk their trash and all that. But the fact of the matter is, like, the one thing that they do is they like to put copyright strikes on us.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of going towards.
Yeah, but 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, if you do it right, if you actually understand the fair use doctrine, there's a certain amount of changes you have to make to the video to claim fair use. So as long as you do that, you're going to win the strike. They could put it on you, but that doesn't mean they're going to. If you fight it, they'll take it away and put your video back up. The only thing that actually does is if the video is monetized, it'll stop our revenue for however many days it's under strike. That's
I see. Okay, this is the last video I want to show before we move on to something else, because we want to talk about your book and we want to definitely promote your book. So this is the last video I'm going to show you. And again, my video is only about a minute long to kind of like let you guys know. But when I talk about this individual, Furry, this is the only person that I've seen many times, pepper spray people. And it kind of seems like he's able to get away with it. In this situation, he got arrested, but I don't know what good that did, because he's out doing it again. Check out this video. This is what I'm talking about.
Who are you?
All right, so let me fill you in on what's going on here. So, Furry Potato took it upon himself to go to a church and harass the people, filming them walking around their building for over 20 minutes. When security finally had enough of his shenanigans and held him, he decided to pull out his pepper spray and pepper spray an elderly person in the face. And afterwards, they were still trying to find out who he was, and he kept on telling people, don't get close to me because I'm going to pepper spray you as well. So he didn't want his space to be violated, but he was perfectly okay pepper spraying an elderly person, and he felt threatened, and he felt that he needed to defend himself.
Stay back, bitch. Keep your distance. Keep your distance.
Okay, you see it?
Keep your fucking distance, bitch. You stay away from me, bitch. You get any closer, you're gonna get what he got.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
What the fuck are you doing? So you.
There you go. That's exactly what we're talking about. He just pepper sprays people, and she just goes after people.
Par for the course.
Yeah, it's terrible, man.
That's crazy. Yeah, and like I said, that's par for the course for Furry, but there's a couple of them that like to do that. There's another one named what is he? Is it Frickin' Media? I think is his name. He likes to do that too. Just come on, let's go. What's up? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? And then they pepper spray. There you go. You got yours, punk. And I'm talking really, really nice compared to the way they talk.
Yeah. So it's like how can they do that and get away with it? Like I don't get it. I don't know. Law enforcement needs to figure something out, especially kind of like what we talked about with that whole sovereign incidents, terrorist kind of aspect to kind of what there is, because that's I'm sure that some people could be under the opinion that that's what something that kind of like what they're doing at this point, because it's not exercised in freedom of speech, because to be honest with you, how many people are interested in what's going on outside a church?
Nobody. And
Exactly.
That's the other thing too. They love to try and sell themselves as journalists and news reporters. And I'm just working on a story. Okay, you're working on a story of the church parking lot? Like that's a news story? It's not. They're just idiots. Ultimately.
Yeah, man, that's what it is. So we just wanted to come on here and kind of like fill you guys in for anybody who doesn't know what's going on. And listen, guys, do me a huge favor. For anybody that follows the Tacos and Workouts channel, right? And you guys have liked this content that we're providing to you these last couple of months covering these fraudits, because I know we got a lot of people that jumped on over and started because we were covering this. Hezokuai, hopefully I said that right. He's got tons of these videos and they're awesome, man. I borrowed a couple of his clips and I credited him. He's the guy that I got these, and he's on here day in and day out, keeping them accountable for their actions. So if you guys really like that, do me a huge favor, go to his channel, subscribe to his channel, like his channel, comment on his channel. He has interesting content, because not only do I want you to support my channel, I also want you to go and support his, and that's a wonderful thing about YouTube. Look, there's enough time for everybody. You could go to his channel, watch his channels, and then when you're done, you could come back and watch mine, or you could go watch somebody else's channel. There's enough subscribers and enough views here for everybody. You just gotta let people know where we're at, and I mean, because there's more than there's 24 hours in a day, so there's plenty of time for you to watch those videos, man. But let's talk about your book, man. What's going on with your book?
Okay, I got it right here, the Frauditors Handbook. It's basically a book. It's sarcastic. It's meant to be, humorish, but it has it's like the handbook of how to correctly do a fraudit and pull it off. I'll just here, I'll put the link in here so you can get it. You can get it on Amazon. And I'll just read the back cover to you guys. Well, there's a watermark on here, but it says this is just how it starts. Congratulations on your decision to dedicate your life to being a professional jackwagon. I can assure you, you'll find your new chosen profession will increase your arrest record at least tenfold. It'll increase your chances of being trespassed over 15,000%, and it'll make everyone you ever meet hate your guts. You'll find all the information you'll ever need to be a successful monetized YouTube content creator, or, as you'll learn later, a First Amendment auditor. When your income based entirely on how rude and offensive you can be, the more rude and offensive, the more revenue you will generate. So that's just the little blurb on the back there. And then I got my icon, matches my right here. Wait, where is it? Yeah, my little guy there. That's me. And so if I put a link in the chat if you guys want to check it out on Amazon.com, you can order yours today.
There you go, man. Is your whole book kind of like that, like funny and
Yeah, like I said, it's a sarcastic take on the whole thing, but at the same time, it does explain everything,
Cool.
But I'm explaining it through the point of view of like, hey, if you want to be a frauditor, well, all you got to do is, walk over to these guys and treat them like crap, and it's funny, but it covers everything. Like we were talking about, Silenceboy's in here, and in fact, this whole situation is one of the things I mentioned in here. I didn't bring up furry in there, but whatever. Yeah, it's got everything.
That's for the next
I break
book.
the whole thing down, even like the court proceedings. Yeah, right. Make a book just on Silenceboy. But yeah, so that's that. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for letting me try to promote my wares here.
Yeah, no,
And
man.
yeah, anytime.
Yeah, what we're also gonna do is, I'll have you send me the link, and then we could put it on the description, and we'll link your show to this episode. That way, if anybody just wants to like see anything that was covered or whatever, and I'll look for some of those videos and I'll try to link them up so people could just go to the description link, and then they could see all your stuff, man. It's funny that you made that book. I'm kind of like trying to like do the comedy realm and stuff like that. I have like a whole bunch of friends that are comedians, and we were messing around doing like a little podcast at the park, right? Just me and my friend, just kidding around, and it was crazy because we actually got people like paying attention to us, and then we were just playing around.
Right.
But before that, I don't know why it came to mind, and I frauded him, and I started walking behind him, and I said, "Show me your socks. Show me your socks." And then he told me to like bug off or whatever. But I see the humor in how you could make this frauditing funny, because it is funny that these people think they're journalists and they're doing the things that they're doing, and I thank you for the work that you do, man, for reals, because people need to know, but we need to, as much as people know about those people, more people need to know about your channel and what you do, because it's important that we cover all aspects of the greater picture of what's going on. So, yeah, man. So how long have you been covering these frauditors for?
Well, I've been doing it for a while now. Originally, I started out because my channel started almost entirely me, because like I said, I'm from Chicago, and I used to review the games, and I do this character, this Chicago Bears fan with the thick Chicago accent. Hey, the Bears are gonna play this weekend. They're gonna be over by there in Los Angeles, and they're gonna play football. And just having fun with the Bears games. And that was how the channel started. And then after a while, as I started becoming more and more aware of these idiots, I started doing little comedy sketches about them. And as that started growing, and then, like I said, that guy Schrodinger's cat, he shouted me out, which made my channel get more popular. But I didn't really start hitting these guys heavy and hard like I am now until when Schrodinger's cat passed away. The frauditing scene, they were celebrating. They were making videos about, yay, we're so happy this guy died. And I was appalled. So I started ripping into the videos that they were making, talking about they were happy that Schrodinger died. And as I was doing that, those videos started getting more attention. And then I started seeing it more like, as opposed to either trying to do a comedy sketch or trying to tear apart a video, now it's like, well, I combined the two, try to make me making fun of them and the comedy sketch together, like in the same video, and implement. Because if you watch my first few where I'm doing that, it's just me saying, oh, look at this idiot being stupid, but then it got funnier and funnier. And then at the end, I would have one of my old sketch videos. But now I'm starting to integrate the sketches into the video itself and make it a part of the thing. Like I did one last week where, because they always say they're journalists, where I'm like, and now breaking news, special report. This police office is closed during non-business hours. Let's join our reporter, Anthony X. He's one of the frauditors. Let's join our reporter, Anthony X, on the scene. Anthony! And then it cuts to him. Yeah, I guess this place is closed. No cops around here. Yeah, news, right? That kind of a thing.
Yeah, man. And there's so much you could do. But I've seen your I think like yesterday you were online, and I wanted to watch you, but I was busy putting this stuff together. And I see kind of like what you do. You do implement like the live podcast with other videos and stuff like that. And I'm looking, I'm like, wow, he's got a lot going on.
Yeah, it is. What I'm trying to do now is have because I average about 1 to 2 videos that I edit together and put out a week. but live streams I can do every day. And what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to implement a thing where the day in frauditing, and just go live at night at the end of the day and go over all of the new frauditing videos that came out that day and just sort of watch them together with my fans and go over them, and then once a week put out my regular videos, and,
Yeah, that's
we'll
a
see
great.
how that works out.
Hey, you know what, man? That's smart, man. That's a great idea, man. You cover them live. You kind of like look through them as in real time, and then you have your followers kind of discuss and comment, and you get a lot of comments. I seen that. I'm like, wow, this guy's rocking and rolling with this, and yeah, live videos are different than doing excuse me edited videos, man. It's totally different. It's like
It is.
when I do sometimes like an edited video to when I either go cover a workout or do a taco or do a comedy sketch or something. Let's say that the video is only like 5 minutes long. People don't see that I spent 8 hours putting something together, and the
Right.
research and the everything, and then I have to drive and all that, and then it doesn't get the support, the views or the likes or whatever. And you're like, but like the live videos are a little bit different, but and I'm glad to see that you're able to incorporate both.
Yeah,
That's pretty
and
smart.
one of the things I really like about the live videos is having that immediate interaction with the fans. That's always really cool. And yeah, like you say, when you post the regular videos, and especially with the kind of stuff we're doing, because with my stuff, it's all about heavy editing more than anything else. And a lot of times, there have been times where I've spent like 5 or 6 hours just setting up something that'll end up in the finished video being 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And what I love, and it doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while, I'll get a comment in my comment section like, dude, I noticed what you did with that there. That was awesome. And it's like, that just makes, somebody picked up on that, That's good stuff. I used to have, well, I got it right here, but I always used to keep my Rubik's Cube in the background on my videos. And what I would do is I would solve it, but as I was filming, I would move it some, put it back up, film some more, move it. So if anyone noticed it moving in the background, just little subtle little things like that. But, eventually someone was like, dude, did you notice that Rubik's Cube kept changing? And then by the end of the video, it was solved. I'm like, yes, they saw it, whatever. Just something else to give. At least you got a background. I don't have a background. All I got is this stupid wall. I got to figure something out with that.
Oh man, I'm trying hard to make my look. This is what I do. I do the best with whatever little I have. So I always try to make it the best to what it is, man. And you know what? I still need equipment. I need like a better camera. I need a better laptop and many other things, but I make things work. And I think that in the end, it's you work with what you got and you try to make it the best you possibly can. And that's why I'm the best podcast in Long Beach, California.
That's right. I love it. All right. So anyway, thank you again very much for having me on. Letting me plug the book. When my kid called earlier, I told him I'd call him back at 10, which it's almost 10 now, my time. So I'm gonna run. Keep in touch. This was great fun. I had a blast. We could do this again. Maybe have you on my channel. Whatever.
I would love that.
All right. Excellent. Yeah, definitely keep in touch, man. And
all right,
thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much for being such a great guest. All right, there you go, guys. Do me a favor, subscribe to this channel, and we'll see you next time.